Will Pearson. He got it. Touchdown.
All right. Welcome in to Now About Them Cowboys. This is episode number 6. I am your host, John Sheps, at Coach Sheps on the Twitter. And today I am chatting with Mike Poland of the UK Cowboys. Mike, what's cooking?
Yeah, look at this cross-Atlantic show. I know you do them, well, actually, they're cross-Pacific, aren't they? Because you've got your other friend who's from Australia. But yeah, how are you doing? It's looking good.
Man, we cover all the bases. We are trying to go global. So, man, I'm doing well. It's Sunday morning. It's early. We got a busy day ahead of us. We've just been churning out content. I've been so Toilets and Titles were linked up with CFB Nation. I'm not sure how big into college football you are right now, but whoever's listening at home, go check out CFB Nation because they are doing a spring game tour. That is, my head's spinning just trying to keep up with them, seeing where they're at. But me personally, I'm laying low. I'm enjoying the day. But Mike, why don't you tell everybody where they could find you, the content you're working on, all the good stuff, all the details.
Yeah, well, it's at UK Cowboys there where you'll see most of it. I'm also with Blogging the Boys, where we do article writing. I do all the ironically college football draft analysis and scouting reports. And we do some other stuff as well with Cowboys Experience, if you know them as well, that do all the game day packages and stadium tours and all the rest of it.
Excellent, man. So what kind of so your draft content? Tell me a little bit more about what is your draft content? Is it clips? Is it articles? Is it player profiles? What type of stuff you working on?
It's articles. So scouting reports, player profiles as well. I do over at Blogging the Boys. Yeah.
Excellent.
I was an Aggies fan before a Cowboys fan, which is backwards, I know, but there we go.
Man, that's awesome. So I want to hear about your story, man. So you were an Aggies fan. So did you ever live? So tell the listeners, if they're not familiar with you, where you're from and kind of your origin. How did you become an Aggies fan? How did you become a Cowboys fan? I want to hear all about it.
Yeah, well, I mean, an Aggies fan kind of by accident. I've got an uncle that worked in America and he brought some stuff back. This was when I was a very young kid. You know what it's like? You're easily swayed into things. Yeah. And then all of a sudden then you're kind of like, oh, there we are. I'm one of these fans now. Back then, so obviously being in the UK and in Wales, you don't have not even a quarter of what you get in America. Like what we had is it was called teletext, where it's like you type in a number and it kind of scrolls through screens on the TV. And you type in a 3-digit code and it'll give you sports, it'll give you news, weather, whatever. And that's where the only place where I could go and find it. And I try and be an expert as a kid on Aggies football.
That's excellent, man. I mean, the people like us who are doing stuff like this, I remember, being 9, 10, 11, it was much easier for me, but watching the NFL draft, making my own mock drafts, trying to be an expert at myself. I remember the Sean Merriman, DeMarcus Ware draft. And, I was young during that one, man, but that's awesome. The power of branding, right? Your uncle brings over some Aggie gear and then you develop from an Aggie fan. So you just Texas, man. It's football.
That's what it was. Yeah. And I think it was, I tell you what it was. It was the Troy Aikman draft, because I can remember a very crappy newspaper clipping I had, and so that was 1989, and it was kind of like, oh, there we go, I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan.
Yeah, of course. I love it. So you found it, man. I'm interested in this television system you guys have with so you're typing in the 3-digit code. Yeah. It's just
it was really analytical. It wasn't the greatest, because you're thinking you're talking pre-internet and all the rest of it.
Right.
So it's like you press the button to go on teletext, and you typed in like 123, and that page would take you to like local domestic news, and it might be like 10 pages, and you can't pause it or nothing.
Right.
It would just hold that page there, then scroll to page 2, hold it for a while, then scroll. So like if you missed
you
it,
had to speed read.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Sometimes you did. Yeah. Or you'd have to wait for it to go all the way back round again.
That's awesome. I tell my kids like all the time. So before sports games for my kids, what I like to do is I like to throw on some highlights of a player that plays a position they play. Yeah, try to get them a little gassed up. And how easy is it now to pull stuff like that up? Like also my kids, like they're watching TV shows. Like I tell them, like I used to like if I wanted to watch a show that was Friday night, I had to like be prepared Friday. But then if mom and dad said it's dinner time, I had to walk away from the TV. I missed it. You know?
Yeah. You get the old, like the old TV guide, and they give you the channel and the time. And sometimes you just sit there and you'd have to write it all out so you could plan your evening out.
Right.
Like where, for the. Go on, sorry.
I was going to say that's where our analytical sides developed.
Going through numbers and chasing numbers and all the rest of it. That's for sure. And like. I ironically as well, I got quite good at setting the VCR because obviously NFL, we had an NFL show as well. It was on Channel 4, and it was kind of like a highlight show. So it would show you all the games of the week, and it would be like a couple minutes for each game. But that would start at like 11 p.m. and being, like a 6, 7, 8-year-old kid, you're not going to stay up that late.
Right.
So you have to set the VCR. You have to set the time. You have to set the channel. You have to set the timer, how long you wanted it for. I got quite good at doing it. And in the end, my parents were like, you don't have to do this, do this. And I'm like, yep, off we go.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Then it's like the little holes we had to jump over to get what we wanted.
I say nothing like today. Like today now, you missed last night's game. You just you don't even have to go on YouTube. You can Google it, and it'll give you like a million different streams on where you can watch it from. And you're like, there we go, nice and easy.
Man, like so Campy, so one half of Now About Them Cowboys who couldn't make it today. So he's in Australia, so he'll be sleeping when the Cowboys are on, and then. If some days it'll be like we could talk about it when he wakes up, and then some days it'll be like he's got it recorded, he's going to go back and watch it. We'll talk about it afterwards. So it's like even though he missed it, he could still. It's incredible, man. It is incredible. But what I want to talk about is when did you start creating content and covering the Dallas Cowboys?
So the scouting side would be. So I was like doing my own scouting stuff in like the noughties. So back then I was in the Air Force.
Okay.
So a lot of downtime and a lot of like just time to fill. Obviously now we've got the internet, so I've got a laptop, and I kind of do my own stuff then. But being ironically an engineer and being like you said the analytical side, you want to know. You want to be like. Why is it that everybody's saying this guy is better than that guy? And why is this guy so much better? Because when you watch it, sometimes you're like, especially highlight clips. I'm not a fan of watching highlight clips to scout.
Right.
And you watch it and you just kind of go, well, these guys are all the same. What's the difference? So then in terms of like doing the content, I started writing for All 32. When was that? Before my son was, so it was about 2014, 2013, and all that was scouting stuff. And then I did the Scouting Academy, and and I've talked to the guys before. I was like, even if you don't want to do like scouting draft reports, it's really good for understanding the little finite parts of football, like just really simple things, like they teach you, yourself with coaching on the cornerback side. There's something as simple as a hand slap. What the hand slap is for from a cornerback. Most people, you watch it, you think he's getting grabby. You're like, no, that's really, really important. He's trying to establish position, and the Scouting Academy teaches you those little tiny things that you don't notice. And it was really good. And then from then. There's Jamie, we call the Godfather at UK Cowboys. He was just like, quick, jump in. We need you, yeah. So we did, writing content for them. Got good friends with a lot of people from Cowboys because, they came to London in 2014.
Right,
so we got quite...
Jaguars, right?
That's right, yeah.
Des Bryant had a day.
Oh, yeah. Right in the very corner as well. I got a story about that one. It was quite funny. And I'll get back to that now. But got very pally with people like Broadus, Eagleton. We got friends with a lot of Rob Phillips, who I owe money on a bet still. But got friends with them, and we kind of just started just conversing with them. So they give us like information and what have you whenever we badger them for it all. And then from that then got friends with like people like RJ and all of that, and they were just like, come and write for us at Blogging the Boys and work with us, and then it keeps evolving and expanding from there, really.
Man, that's incredible. I remember I used to watch highlights, back when I started my analysis, and I remember the transition, and I did this all for myself. This was before I had a website. I just wanted to dive deeper into these prospects just because I thought about them so much. I wanted to write about them, like just for my own notes, so I could go back and break them down. So, Google Docs, Microsoft Word, like I wasn't doing it pen and paper. I was doing it all on the computer, but I would watch YouTube highlights. And then there was like 1 or 2 years, like after doing it for like 2 years, just thinking, well, if the song is good, or like if they, like there's things that are swaying my opinion, and I want it. So then I started finding, regular game film, and that was a big transition for me. So this is the first season on toiletstotitles.com. We actually started writing up like I've always had player profiles. My own for my own draft analysis, but I've never written them up. And now we have like 110 up there. I think I have about 70 of them myself, and we have a big board and stuff. So everybody at home, go check that out at toiletstotitles.com. We have positional rankings, and it's all been like a huge help here. Let's see.
This is actually like you say, the exact same thing like you say. And this is, but I know, it probably won't work because you've got
I could fix it. Sorry, at home. Boom. How about that?
But so it's all my own analysis that I write for all the guys. I give them like all scores and notes, who they're equated to. So this is what you do from the Scouting Academy, and you give them scores, and it gives you like, from that you can give them rankings and all the rest of it. So I'm exactly the same as you. Like, I not for any reason, just literally like you say, just that I wanted to do them for myself. Right. So I've got my own notes.
Right. Because we're sick.
Basically, I'm just way too much time on my hands. But so I'm exactly the same. I'll take that off for you, man.
Right.
But
cool.
That's my own draft board. Like you say, that I wanted to do it. Like that isn't. I haven't done that. So to make money or write anything on, just for myself. And I've been doing that since coming up to like 13 odd years now.
13?
Yeah. It was about 2010 when I started doing my first draft board.
That's awesome, man. That is incredible. All right, we're going to get into some Cowboys talk, some current Cowboys talk. Before we do, I want to let everybody know, Toilets to Titles is linked up with draftcountdown.com. We are doing an NFL draft challenge. So check me out on Twitter at Coach Sheps, or it's the pinned tweet on the Toilets to Titles handle at Toilets to Titles. If you check that out, you'll find out how you can enter. It's a first round mock. All right, it's free entry. For every 10 people that join, we are putting $20 in a pot. Winner takes all. And there's just a few. You got to be subscribed to our YouTube channel. You got to be subscribed to the Draft Countdown YouTube channel. So that's all you got to do to enter. And you got to put a first round mock together, and then hopefully win. And then you get it, but it's free. So give it a shot. If you're watching this at home, please subscribe to the show, like, comment, all that is greatly appreciated. We are on Apple Podcasts. If you want to throw us a 5-star Apple review, we're going to be working next month. So this month is draft month. Next month, we are starting up our Frankenstank chat and discussion and working that together. So Frankenstank, if you're not familiar, I see you smile. That's our listener league, and it is absolutely bananas. I can't even, like, anybody who's interested, if you're new to the show, just search Toilets and Titles Frankenstank. You'll find our last year discussion. We're going to start doing that this year. There's going to be like, I think over 90 teams in it this year. It's vampire style. Like, if you lose, your opponent gets to take a player from your team, but we also have playable cards. So that's the next month. We're going to be dedicated to film that. And the reason that ties into the Apple Podcast review, if you want to get in the Frankenstank League, throw us a 5-star Apple review. You're automatically going to get in. Even if you don't do that, if you want to get in, just reach out to me on Twitter. There's a good chance I'll get you in anyway, but it would help if you threw us a 5-star Apple review. So that is it for all the nuances that I needed to get out from the show. But let's talk about last season a little bit. How did you feel about the 2022 off season in comparison to this season?
So ironically, like the way that the team was was developing or had developed. When you look at it, the year before, I would say the team was more talented. So I'm talking 2021.
Okay.
So like 2022 for me, I was kind of like, okay, this is going to be more of a kind of like a rolling year where you're going to see what they got, see what talent they got. 2023, then, depending on how certain players develop, will be the year to go for it. And they kind of have already when you think with the way they've done free agency.
Oh man,
yeah,
trading,
which is which was absolutely crazy. But I mean, we could talk about the free agents if you like, but I mean, yeah, that's how I saw it. But then all of a sudden, it seemed to be, I don't know if it was coaching or whether just certain players were playing above expectation. Not all of them, but certain main positions I can think of, certain players. You know, like you had the development of LVE, Jonathan Hankins, which kind of slowed the run down. Those were big changes that helped that team. And then all of a sudden,
Cooper Rush holding it down when Dak was gone. Yeah,
that was crazy. Yeah. And when you think that was the first game when we lost Dak, so straight away I'm thinking,
I thought it was done.
Yeah. I think everybody did, you know, and you were just like, so when you're thinking it's going to be a placeholder type of season, that happens in the first game, and you're like, yeah, well, this is for definite. And all of a sudden, then you're on like, you're trailing, with third in the NFC East, but you're like, we're on a big winning record here, you know. Like you say, Rush is holding it down. The defense is doing something we haven't seen the Cowboys defense do in a long time, and it kept going that way. And even just like, you know, like the Titans game, I know people complain about that game because it was just, but the fact that they could still play poorly and scrape out a win, I know it's not what you want to see, but the fact that they could do that, all of a sudden you're kind of like, you've got to take a positive from that Titans game for what it was.
Yeah, but I feel like it led to the loss to the Jaguars. Like they walked that tightrope. I hear what you're saying. But
I'm just trying to be positive.
I know, I get it. Which I would have felt much better about that win if they didn't turn around. But then, you know what? I'm sorry. The Jaguars won a playoff game.
There you go.
So you know what? I need to be quiet because you were right. The Jaguars, they are not bad.
They came on fairly quickly. Like Trevor Lawrence all of a sudden seemed to find a groove. Yeah. And because I'm never going to argue against what you see because that's your feeling. But like for me, when I looked at it, I was like, okay, yeah, we lost the Jags at the time. Left a bad taste in your mouth. But then once you go back and you look back, you're like, well, hold on now. Jags,
you're right,
had a really good season.
You're right.
They won a playoff game, like you say, and they will even the loss in the playoff game. They didn't look bad. They would just happen to be playing better teams. So you kind of like go, well, okay, then. Yeah, we lost to them, but we lost to a very good team. And then you go down to the Bucks game in the playoffs, and I think maybe this is what made the San Francisco 49ers game feel so bad, is that the Bucks game was a complete demolishing.
Oh, man.
You look at what they've done. They ended Brady's career. And you look at that and you just think, this is going. I know Cowboys say it every year, this is the season, but you could at that point, you were like, this could actually be when it rings true. So it was good. It's just that I think the issue we had is, like I said, and the pregame show for the 49ers is they're both fairly, in terms of talent, I think they're both fairly similar. I would actually say Cowboys have more talent on their roster than the 49ers. The 49ers just have insane talent at certain positions. But what they definitely have is they have all the things they do really well is what the Cowboys are very poor at.
Right.
So that's why it became their strengths were our weaknesses and vice versa. Or maybe not right, but that was how they were or how they play. So that's why everything fell. And plus, like certain players really in that game faltered a little bit, and you had Neville Gallimore playing defensive back, and
Pollard got hurt. You know,
Pollard got hurt. That's a big that was a big key.
49ers are loaded though. Like, so I had the 49ers are my Super Bowl team, and I still think they would have won the Super Bowl if Purdy did not go down. I thought I had them beating the Eagles. They, you know, they're absolutely loaded, and I think we're close, and I think we're much closer now. And I think we should have the quarterback advantage. I think our offensive line is going to get better this year, and that's going to help out our quarterback. So Ultra Cowboy, who's a listener, he's in the comments.
I know,
and
Ultra Cowboy. Good
yeah,
guy.
man, dude. And he mentioned a few players that I'm not going to mention the nicknames he gave them, right? But he's right, and I didn't think about this. But last year we get rid of Cooper, Lel Collins, Randy Gregory. 2 players who've given us trouble as far as suspensions and whatnot, locker room stuff. And then one who, does his heart isn't in football. We get rid of them, and now this year we bring in Stephon Gilmore for a 5th round pick, who was a defensive player of the year, Super Bowl champion. Nobody has anything bad to say about him. And Brandon Cooks, who's kind of a journeyman. He's been around a little bit, but he's another Super Bowl champion for a 5th round pick. How much weight do you put in the fact that, we move on from guys like that last year and then bring in guys like this year?
It's good value. Like my thing for Brandon Cooks is I think he is actually and I might be going against the grain, but I think Brandon Cooks is a better signing than Stephon Gilmore. Stephon Gilmore, great talent, long in the tooth, what have you. Right. But Brandon Cooks, the trouble with Brandon Cooks is when you think about it, wherever he's been, Houston, the Saints, right? He's always been seen as this wide receiver one, and they try and revolve the offense around him. And it's what he is he isn't and teams pay him as a wide receiver one too, which then gets fans and the front office kind of in this mode of, he's not worth the money. The trouble is with Brandon Cooks is he's not a wide receiver one, but he is one of the best wide receiver twos you will have in the NFL. The good news with him coming to Dallas is Dallas already have their wide receiver one. Right. So he is being paid as a wide receiver two because Houston are paying part of his money.
Right.
Plus they can do what they want.
We were structured. He's hitting us for $6 million this year.
Yeah.
So of the $18 million he came over with, we're paying him $6 million.
Yeah, exactly. Incredible money. So then you look at that, and then you look at that. Plus, he offers something the Cowboys have been asking for a while, which is that speedy downfield type guy. We finally get that. So you think now, and I think they'll go into the draft as well. But if you just take before they draft a wide receiver, the 3 guys that they've got, you've got CeeDee Lamb, who's kind of like a little outside, but better from the slot. Right. You got Lamb as that possession type wide receiver on the other side, and Brandon Cooks, who's going to fly down on the outside. What Brandon Cooks and this is the big one. Here we go. I'm off on one now.
Let's go.
Yeah, that Brandon Cooks is the type of wide receiver who he's not going to get big yards. He's not going to get a load of touchdowns. He does do it though. He does because teams in the past have revolved the offense around him. Right. But what he's more better at is that, because of what he possesses and what he can do, he makes the rest of the offense better. So he will make CeeDee Lamb, he will make Michael Gallup, and whoever else is going to be playing out there. He makes because they have to account for Brandon Cooks for what he can do. Because if you don't account for him, he's going to take that ball, snag it, and he's going to go for 40, 50 yards or a touchdown. And you don't want that. You don't want to be beaten over the top by him. So, and what he's very much like to, if you want to talk about the NFL draft, is Jalen Hyatt. Jalen Hyatt is exactly that. He is the Jalen Hyatt of this year's draft. And, I know they brought Hyatt in on a 30 visit, but you don't need him now because you've got Brandon Cooks.
Right.
And that's what he's
good
at.
What about Tyler Scott? Yeah, I think he's a little similar to him too. I see he's faster.
I see where you're going. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
There's him and Trey Palmer.
Right.
Trey Palmer, very similar as well. But I mean, when you just think of what they've done there, and both, if we're talking Gilmore and Cooks, I just think Cooks is better. Gilmore, I think, is going to be that 1 year. He literally is going to be that 1 year. But what it does, because people say, we don't need to draft a cornerback now because we've got Gilmore. It's no, you absolutely still need to. Gilmore does the opposite, in fact. He makes you need a cornerback because after this year, if Gilmore's on a 1 year and Trayvon Diggs is up on contract year and you can't get either of them sorted, you have no cornerback. We got Kelvin Joseph and whoever else you want to try
Deron
and plug
Bland.
in.
I like Deron Bland.
Deron Bland, I really like. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I completely whiffed on him. I
Right.
didn't see that coming.
Well,
at
they
all.
all did. I think he was what, a 5th, 6th round pick. So
hold on, I'm trying to remember. Yeah, he was a 5th round pick.
right. So you're in the clear. We're all in the clear. Everybody, man. I think with Stephon Gilmore, though, me and Yeomans, we were talked about it either last week or 2 weeks ago. What he brings to the table is he's won a Defensive Player of the Year award.
Yeah.
And Trayvon Diggs can sit in the locker every practice, getting ready, and look over at that guy and be like, "What does he have, and what did he do that I didn't do, and I haven't done yet?" And he could pick his brain, he could find it out, and then maybe he could learn from him to try to round out his game a little bit.
Yeah.
To win. So I think it's good for Diggs. I think it's good for the team, but it's good for Diggs.
I think we're on the same wavelength there, definitely. That when people say like with Gilmore, what yes, here we go, and you're like, well, you need to lower your expectations really on the type of player he is, because the guy is an aged cornerbacks usually. You don't see them playing the outside. They usually get pushed in past, as an aged or a cornerback that's starting to lose athleticism gets pushed to the slot and they slowly work their way into obscurity. Gilmore's still doing that, which is a good testament, but he is old. He's older. So you kind of, I think, have to lean back a little bit. But what he does provide, the biggest thing you provide is what you said, and I'm exactly on the same page as you, is that he gives Diggs this level of foundation that he can work on and be like, this is what you need to do. These are the little, these little tricks and these little niche parts of the game that you can adjust to do this. Oh, he's doing that. Right. Then fall back and do this. And the leadership as well that he'll bring into that defensive backroom, because there's a lot of young guys in there.
Right. Yeah. You want to get what I got, you got to do what I did.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that's excellent. You have any inclination of where Zeke's going to end up this season?
Ooh.
I think he comes back.
No, I don't think he's coming back. I will say that. As much as
that's
what
Yeoman said too. Yeoman said he doesn't think he's coming back. It's hard for me to imagine him anywhere else.
No, I know it is. Yeah, when I seen your intro clip, you seen Zeke hopping over. The Bears play. You're gonna miss all of that. Going off what we've been told as well from guys in the Cowboys, he's definitely not coming. They completely they. It's not that they're disinterested. They're doing it as a kind of like this this respect type thing. That look, your time is done here. Go be free and find your career in the NFL wherever it may be. You've got to think. Well, what sort of teams?
Cincinnati.
Cincinnati would be.
They're
good.
saying they don't want him either, though.
Yeah, Cincinnati would be good more because they have no offensive line and Zeke is an incredible pass blocker,
right?
Which would help. But like you say, they don't seem interested. I don't want to see the Eagles. I don't want to see that. I don't think any Cowboys wants to see that.
How about Tampa with playoff Lenny gone?
Tampa makes the most sense, and because like a lot of people talk of Bijan Robinson, and talking to the guys at the scouting academy, they're saying from what they've been told, speaking to guys, that he doesn't make it past Tampa. Like if he gets to Tampa, Bijan Robinson's gone.
Okay.
But if you take Zeke, like the Cowboys have done, trying to free themselves in terms of the draft, to give yourself options and keep things open. Taking Zeke, there you go. You've just covered yourself in the draft. Makes a lot of sense. Baltimore could be a sneaky one.
Right. I like it. I feel like with Zeke gone, with Schultz gone, those were Dak's best friends. Like those were Dak's guys. And I think that you're going to see CeeDee Lamb took a step last year. And I wasn't certain that he could take the step. And I wasn't certain that Kellen Moore could game plan a script to get CeeDee Lamb as many targets as he needed. And they both like the first few weeks were a little scary, but then they both like he took off. But I think CeeDee this year, Dak is going to have to lean on him so heavily. You're going to see monster numbers. Now, this kind of leads me into the draft. We got Ultra Cowboy in here. He wants Kincaid. He wants Kincaid. Right now, Dalton Kincaid, the current odds favorite, plus 425 to be the first round pick. But then it's Darnell Washington, which is plus 450. Drew Sanders, who I just mocked to the Cowboys in the mock we did on toiletsandtitles.com. And then
What round
Bijan
did you
Robinson.
take Drew Sanders in?
First round, pick 26.
Okay, fair enough. I like it. Stay with the chest.
I think his upside. He's 21 years old. And also the linebacker class is, so Nino, who might be in here, he loves Trenton Simpson. I like Trenton Simpson, but I think I have him as my number one linebacker, which is why I got some heat because, trust your board, but it's not my board. It's not my draft. It's the Cowboys. Exactly. And I think that Drew Sanders, he's like, 235, 6'4". I think he can put on 10 to 15 pounds and not lose much speed. He transitioned from outside linebacker to middle linebacker. He was an outside linebacker at Alabama, middle linebacker at Arkansas. He has experience doing both. He's good off the edge. I just think the ceiling, it's more like a Tyler Smith pick. Now, he didn't go to Tulsa. He went to Arkansas. But you know what I mean? It's a trending up selection. But who do you ultimately think is the Cowboys selection at 26? Ooh. Or just name some names. You don't have to. This isn't a mock draft challenge. This is say some names. Think about where they could go, and we'll connect the dots.
Yeah. So ironically, a lot of talk has been on the tight end position behind closed doors with the coaches.
Right.
They are whether that means. That's a first round pick. I don't know. Depends on the value.
Right.
I think
Laporta or Kraft, if we could get either of those in the third, I'm okay with it.
Yeah. Incredible RAS scores for both of those players. So, you got to like that. I think they are going to look at offensive line. I think offensive line is a big one, but
trade back or stay at 26 for an offensive line.
If it's offensive line, is trade back,
right?
Definitely, because you could do it. You could trade into the early second. The only issue with that is Jerry Jones loves his fifth-year options. He detests giving his first away, like he did with Amari Cooper, because you don't get the fifth-year. He loves the fifth-year option.
And even when they traded back for Frederick, it was until the end of the first. But my question is, who is the player someone else is going to trade up for? That's what I feel like. It's a great year to trade back with Avila, Osiris Torrance, even Cody Mauk. But if we move back, there needs to be somebody else
that wants to do it. Yeah. It takes two to tango, as you say. The only one I can see that would really the lowest point I can see is Houston, because Houston just needs so much help that if you can get another first round pick in this year's draft and trade up, albeit with an in-state rival, you could trade back in. It's going to cost multiple picks, but you could do it. And then the Cowboys get a fairly early second round pick. I think they pick 33rd, in fact, or 34th. So you practically get in one of the first picks of the second round. So that would be how it works for offensive line. But I think if there's a player that they have that has a first round grade, because there's not many on mine, I've got 16 first round grades. So
that's what I was going to say, 16. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. So if it works out, 16. So if it works out that way, then you have to take that player, unless, of course, it's somebody like a quarterback like Will Levis. You're not going to take that type of guy.
Right.
So, say, for instance, Michael Mayer drops to them.
I like him. I like Mayer. I like Mayer more than Kincaid. I know Ultra Cowboy likes, but for this team, man, and for Mike McCarthy, a tight end who could do it all. And Kincaid, I mean, Mayer was third in college football back-to-back seasons, I believe, in receiving yards for tight ends, 800, 900 yards. And for a guy who can block like that, the way he climbs the ladder to go up and high point the football, he's a red zone target. I don't think the drop-off in receiving from Kincaid to Mayer is as significant as the drop off in blocking from Mayer to Kincaid, in my opinion.
Yeah, and you have to be I was going to say careful, but you have to be careful with Kincaid as well, because a lot of his games where he exploded, when you have a look at it and you go back and look, it's a lot of defenses that they were playing against that were outside the top 100. When he's playing a college defense within the top 100, those stats significantly. I know there's more to it. There's more context to it, because of the team and the style and everything. So, but for me, Michael Mayer, he's really a player I can see that he's got a first round grade. He drops to him because I tell you what he reminds me of when you watch him is Jason Witten.
Love it.
An
Love it.
early Jason Witten,
Right.
not the later Jason. And you watch it and there's everything. And he's got, like you say, the receiving side of it. He's got a career quarterback rating when targeted of 106.8. Like that's an insane number to hold.
And they got rid of Noah Brown. I've said this before too. And he was your blocking wide receiver. You got rid of your pass catching tight end. You got rid of your run blocking wide receiver. How about we combine them both now? And create like an extra spot to put a guy like Brandon Cooks on the field. And we got Dalton Kincaid out there. Now we need a blocker. So who we taking off the field? Michael Gallup, Brandon Cooks. You know, I think it makes everything more muddy.
Because everybody keeps saying, look, we've got Ferguson, we've got those two,
right?
And I completely get it. What we got as well in terms of where we drafted them. So you got a 4th round tight end and an undrafted free agent playing tight end.
Who brought us things was saying on the show a few weeks ago that he thinks not on this show on his show he thinks the Cowboys like Hendershot more than they like Ferguson.
I get it, because I tell you what they both remind me of together is the old it's when they had Blake Jarwin, and I forget the other tight end's name. It'll come to me now. When they had them together, so you got Hendershot, who's more like Blake Jarwin, who's going to run seam routes and.
Trying to think who the hell was Blake Jarwin paired up with? Now my brain is.
I know. I'm trying to
go on. I'll look it up. So that had to have been like 2018 or
yeah. It was it was to pair them together and remind me together of that. But Mike McCarthy has said as well he wants to use more 3 tight end sets as well. But for me, both tight ends are. Supporting tight end players.
Jeff Swaim.
That's it. Good old rest.
Texas.
God bless him. Yeah, God bless him. But yeah, he could come back.
Yeah. He was in Tennessee, right? I think he went to Tennessee after Dallas. Could be
believe wrong. So. Yeah. But it was Tennessee actually. Or was it Vegas? Or am I thinking of somebody else?
He was in Tennessee. He might have went to Vegas, but this isn't the Jeff Swaim hour. Who cares?
Yeah. So you think like they're both supporting tight ends in that respect. So I think you just need to get that pure like wide tight end. Because for me, both Hendershot and Ferguson could probably get there. He just needs to get in the gym and put some weight on because his style of blocking, as I call it, is falling over slowly.
Yeah.
When you watch it, that's the best way to describe how he blocks. And he was the same at Wisconsin, doing the exact same thing there.
Great hands, though. Jim Nagy said that last year he had the best hands of every player at the Senior Bowl, wide receivers included.
And he is a good, but when you look at it, he's still more of an F type as well as Hendershot is. So you really want an inline type guy and a Y type, and you get a guy like Mayer. This is something we talked about on Blogging the Boys because I made this argument and they were like, "Come on, then elaborate." And go back and look at the NFC AFC championship games and the teams that made it to the Super Bowl. What's one thing they all have in common? And I know where this argument's going to come from, which is where I had it, is they all had the best tight ends in the NFL. So
Dallas Goedert is so underrated. Like he needs to be talked about as one of the best players in the league.
One of the top 4 tight ends in the league, easy.
Yeah.
You know, you can mix and match them around. But you look at that. You look at Kelsey, Kittle, Dallas Goedert. These are the best tight ends. So it's because that position is so mismatched and it's so hard to defend. So you get a guy like Mayer in there. I know there's the fruition period for tight ends. It's not like most of them are like Gronk that come in and immediately make a difference like that, or Hernandez. But you think you give them that little bit of time to develop, a couple of years to come in, and all of a sudden then you've got one of the hardest positions to defend on your team, and you could be a real, and like you said, Dak likes to target his tight ends. He does a lot. In some respects, you have to wonder whether Dalton Schultz was created by Dak as opposed to the other way around, because Dak loves to throw to his tight end so much.
Right.
That's how I look at it.
Well, so you're saying it's going to be a tight end or an offensive lineman?
That's how I see it, unless they really want to push and go for a cornerback.
Right. And,
One of the top threes.
Ultra Cowboys saying the Mike McCarthy wanted to draft Trey McBride last year over Sam Williams, but Arizona drafted him. Mike will get a tight end weapon this year. Yeah, I agree. I just hope it's not in the first, because I know Ultra Cowboy loves Kincaid and Mayer's a dude, but I just think the value is there in the second and third round.
Yeah.
And even if a guy like Deonte Banks, who's not my, so I get in trouble because sometimes my favorite players at a position aren't my top players at a position.
Yeah.
Right. So I got Weatherspoon. I got Weatherspoon at 4. So I got Banks at 3, but I got Gonzo and Porter 1 and 2.
Oh,
but
wow.
Banks is my favorite corner. I love Banks. So if he was there, which I don't think he falls outside the top 20, but he's a guy I would take. I just think positional value. I'd want to go positional value. And even the upside of Drew Sanders, because Van Der Esch isn't going to be there forever. We need to see Damone Clark step up. DeMarcus Lawrence, I know but he's still an edge rusher, so Drew Sanders can take away attention from Micah Parsons. So it'll be interesting to see. But now, one of the last things I want to ask you, there's been a lot of smoke about what this Cowboys offensive line is going to look like. Terrence Steele might move into left guard. Is that Jerry Jones positioning Steele to try to lower down his cap value? But then also, is it Duke Merriweather or Terrence Steele trained by Duke Merriweather?
Yeah,
Duke Merriweather was tweeting out a few things about Terrence Steele being better than other Cowboys offensive linemen. So to me, this is getting muddy as well. Yeah. If his trainer is taking shots at the Cowboys and Terrence Steele is coming up for a contract in a year, this isn't something they shouldn't be messing around.
No.
Should. It'd be one thing if Terrence Steele was talked to, like, hey, this is positioning, so teams don't know what we're looking for in the NFL draft. We're trying to throw smoke. If he knew, you'd think Merriweather would know. And it seems like they don't think this is smoke. They think this is legitimate. So what do you think the starting offensive line looks like this year?
There's two sides to that, really, because you could make an argument, right? And this is where I think Jerry Jones has got this from. And I agree. They need to be careful, especially because you think like a right tackle is going to get paid more than a left guard. That is one way to look at it. The conspiratorial side is where you can look at it.
Right.
Terrence Steele for me is by far the best run blocking offensive lineman the Cowboys have. More than Zach Martin. He's incredible. And the stats show it. When you look last year, that I can't remember the numbers off the top of my head, but it was significant change. That
like 2 yards, I think, per carry.
Yeah.
You're talking about the drop off from
when Terrence Steele was out. It was a good, easily 2 yards per average. And a lot of the runs as well started to move into the gaps on the left, on the A and B gaps on the left, because they kind of had to let, obviously, Tyron Smith get into the groove of playing right tackle. But you've got to play. So in one side, they're saying we have to play Terrence Steele because he's just too good. The issue I think that they've got is this, that why Jerry said it, is that we all know Tyler Smith is a much better left tackle than he is a left guard. And last season, do you want to go through that again where you have Tyron Smith playing left tackle for X number of games unknown? Obviously, it's not going to be a full season. Then you've got to move your left guard to left tackle, which is going to cause issues again with development. Or do you bite the bullet and you say, let's put Tyler Smith at left tackle. He's now our left tackle for the future. That's it, done. We don't have to worry about the development. He's not in his rookie year, so this is his first established year, and he's going to really learn how to play left tackle, and that's where we keep him.
Right.
In order of doing that, we've now got a gap at left guard. So what do we do there? So it's either Chuma, who I think is totally fine for if you don't draft a left guard.
What about Risner?
It could work. It could work. Yeah. I mean, there are options as well. Like we've got other guys there, which you can talk about if you want. The Cowboys have, but you put Terrence Steele as your best run blocking offensive lineman at left guard to keep Tyler out there. So then you put Tyron Smith back at right tackle, and you keep him out there for as long as he can survive,
Right.
or as his body will hold up. Once he goes down, which we say he will, because he hasn't done it since like 2015, you put Tyron Steele back at right tackle. You keep Tyler Smith at left tackle. We know Bianish and Zach aren't moving anywhere. So now you just got this left guard spot where you kind of go, eh. So I think this is what they're trying to say, is that, like, look, this is what we want to do. So we can establish a left tackle. We've got a right. We move our right to the inside. And this is just how it will look until Tyron Smith gives up.
Now, if they draft a guard, right, like Avila, Osiris Torrance, then you got to put Terrence at right tackle, and you can afford to put Tyron as the swing tackle, correct?
Yeah. That's exactly what you will do then.
And then
he's being paid as
longer.
He'll
last longer.
He's paid as such as well. You know, when you look at Tyron's contract, he's paid as a swing tackle.
Right, man. Well, hey, this has been absolutely incredible. I've really enjoyed chatting with you today, man. I know you're going to go have some lunch. It's probably closer to 2:00 out there. I appreciate your time. I'm going to go check out all your other content. Just one more time, if you could, let everybody know where they can find you and what you've worked on recently, so they can go check it out.
Yeah, you can find me at Kenfig Cowboy on Twitter, or UK Cowboys as well. And all my articles and podcasts at Blogging the Boys.
Excellent. Well, thanks again, man. And everybody else, we appreciate you checking us out. And every Sunday we will be on here, and check out all our other content, Toilets and Titles. Check out CFB Nation if you're into any college football, because right now they are absolutely rolling, and we will catch you all later on.